All right, welcome to Cardano for Climate. And today's a special edition because this week is Governance Week. So what we're going to be doing a little bit today is talking about Cardano for Climate and governance. We have a couple of things lined up. One is to have a discussion around governance and impact initiatives and how all of that fits together. I know at a certain town hall, a certain viewpoint was expressed around we should be supporting hardcore development projects only, and any impact initiatives or diversity initiatives or things like that should be put in the miscellaneous column until we're ready, and then we can go. And I think that caused a lot of people in the community to scratch their heads or even get upset because there's a lot of stuff we're doing that is meaningful and impactful. So I would love to have a conversation around that just so that we can have a balanced viewpoint around that. We also have a slide deck prepared, I believe, Melanie, to talk about some of the proposals in the climate and impact space, so that as voters this week, as we finish up our voting, we are aware of all the great projects out there that are really looking to have some impact. I was thinking maybe we could start with that slide deck and then move into the conversation. That way we make sure we do the slides, because I think that's one of the primary focus today, is to look at the climate impacting initiatives that we can all vote on so that we're aware.
Let me grab the link.
Okay. And then we can have a conversation around the governance space. And then
Melanie, I put the last link here, so we have it now. That's the last version.
All right.
Sorry, you know.
Sure, that's great. Does that sound good? And then we can complete our meeting today with Lawrence's presentation. Does that work for you, Lawrence, or would you like to go somewhere earlier? Just, I want to be.
Oh, whatever you guys want. That sounds great. I'm here the whole time. That's great.
Okay,
whatever makes sense.
Excellent. Yeah. All right, so let's kick it off. Is somebody wanting to present these slides, or do we just want to go through them one by one as a group?
It's a good question. I think, I mean, basically, it's you want to share it with everyone, and we just go through it rapidly. Show the screen, or
the cool thing about this slide deck is it's community generated. A lot of the slides were done by people. I went in yesterday and went through idea scale. I haven't even gone through all the challenges, but just ones that anybody had gone through. I went through those and made sure that we had a, relatively balanced, and it was just specifically on titles, checked out a few, it's not vetted. This isn't saying that all these proposals you have to vote for. Everybody's responsible to look at these. Our biggest goal in this list is to find collaborators and to find projects that you want to support and things that you resonate with, and it changes your life and you start working with this. The voting's important for sure, but we're not trying to sway anybody to do something that they don't want to do. So there we are, sustainability and climate change related proposals. Next slide. Wow, I didn't really expect to do this, but I'll let you let you go with it, Nori. Maybe you call. Who's got the slides?
I'm presenting the slides, but anybody can speak to them. But basically, yeah, we're here because Cardano for Climate supports Cardano, because Cardano has a blockchain community and bright minds to build the applications we need to regenerate our ecosystem and our economy. And yeah, I think we've proven that through this group and all the great proposals and projects that have come up. So hopefully we have some really great fun 7 proposals that we can all get behind. But like Melanie said, please do your homework, look at all these. This isn't a suggestion that you go out and vote for all of these. We just want to highlight the challenges and the proposals that are put forth by our community, so that they are in your awareness and that you can go do your homework and consider them for votes.
Yeah, because at this point in time, any impact challenges are spread out through however 20 different challenges, And as a challenge team or as a community, it's really hard to follow them. I found this was incredible, you know, trying to figure out all the different challenge settings and, you know, adapt proposals for each one of these. It's just so much work, so much paperwork when it feels like we should be doing stuff. And one thing I want to just say is, you know, as a farmer, as a gardener, we're patient people. And we know that we work through seasons. We know that now isn't the time to plant tomatoes outside. It would be insane in my climate. So we know that the blockchain, we love Cardano because it's long-term thinking. And we know that maybe the applications aren't ready, but you can bet for sure that we're going to be working on the applications and the use cases right now, because we know we have no time to wait. So there you go, challenge setting, one of the big ones. We'd love to see a full-on challenge setting. Let's put our money where our mouth is and do something about climate change. Cardano's already done this amazing thing with Veritree and the carbon footprint. Let's show the rest of the world that we're on board too. Mm-hmm. Simon, maybe you want to speak to that as well, because you had a big part in writing this proposal at this time. And I'm going to put myself on mute and drink my tea.
Yeah, I mean, I had facilitated, and really it was a community effort. I'm really glad, you know, that, or I hope that many people had a chance to speak to the climate challenge, and, you know, what their expectations would be to, you know, how that could look like. And I hope we came up with a good proposal. And it's too sad that it didn't get funded last time. It should have been there already, but that is how it goes. And also thank you, Melanie, for, you know, starting this 6 months ago almost, and, you know, for us to grow into this community based on this proposal, really. And I think, I mean, I can't talk to especially Cardano and donations and boosting diversity in Catalyst. Maybe Nori, you want to talk a bit about that as well then. But the climate change challenge, I think it's really important, you know, that we get, you know, because I think one of the voices against that is that development is more important right now, that we have to get the fundamentals right. But I think it is not really, it is important, of course, to get the tools and everything, but the fundamentals are also, you know, how do you make the system a sustainable one also for climate, because it is going to be a system of, you know, financial distributions. And right now, climate is all about activism and volunteerism, and it shouldn't be that way. Like, that is not how an ecosystem like ours should look like. We should, you know, it should be rewarded when you're looking out for our ecosystem. I think that is how a financial system should work, and we're building a financial system here with Cardano, and yes, that is what I would like to have implemented. Also, I think, because I mean, I didn't know about this challenge, Nori, but diversity is also important already, not later on, because later on we have all the experts already, and all the experts are going to be then white, male, in the 30s or 40s or something, and I don't see why that should be the case. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Boosting Diversity and Wellness Challenge is really just to help us look at our community and whose voices are missing, and have a space where people in the community can come up with proposals to make that more inclusive, bring in different communities, cultures, groups that aren't really represented well within the community. Because as we're building global systems to change the world, I think the world needs to have a voice. And like Simon says, if you look at most of our meetings, it's a sea of white male faces. And while there's nothing wrong inherently with that. I think it would be really great to increase the diversity in that space so that we can have all voices heard. And this is really the reason for this challenge. And I think the climate change challenge, these are all spaces right now where these kinds of initiatives can have a place to do their proposals. Right now we're seeing, as we'll see as we go through the rest of the deck, a lot of different climate initiatives that have to go into different categories like dApps and integrations and other places where they're not quite a really great fit. And they have to compete against a bunch of other things that are not climate related. And so that's a really challenging place to be. So having a specific challenge setting area where these types of proposals can just compete against one another for the greatest impact would be a really great thing to vote in. So I think that's why we're highlighting these right now so that we can all consider voting for those spaces where these proposals don't need to be lost in the noise of a more generic kind of proposal setting area.
Something that comes to mind is what Scott Poynton said. Climate change is a failure in cooperation. Having proposals in one channel, we can create collaborations, we can encourage it, we can see what's going on. We can say DLT is working on risk. This project's working on traceability. Let's work and pool our resources and create something bigger than we would have done before. So that's part of it as well. I think that it'll be $500,000 well spent in this challenge. Yoram, you have something to say.
Oh, I have many things, but I mean, you know them. I mean, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, again, the proposals are there anyway. Next fund, there will be many more proposals. We will support them anyway. We will grow anyway that part. So it's just yeah. So just think it's cooperate. It's easier to just coordinate and collaborate and make more impact if it's in one place than we distribute it. But yeah. No, but it's and then I mean it's funny again this discussion because if you look on the last summit of Cardano, right, impact and sustainability and climate was probably 30% of the summit, if not if you look on the content. If you look where Cardano is operating, which is developing countries, I mean climate change is crucial in many of these countries, and we should have more representative definitely. Joining. Normally Afia is joining us today. She didn't join, but definitely should be one of the goals for us. I think for this year also. Yeah.
Thanks, Yoram. Heinz,
and we see also how many in few months, you know, how many people got excited, how many things happened, how many things we did, just show the traction of that. Yeah.
Just some thoughts to this challenge settings. There was some interesting results in the survey. This was actually a wish to unbundle kind of product proposals from service proposals, from process and tool proposals, and there are some different natures of proposals around. And the challenge settings, of course, they are needed. We don't have a really proper portfolio management yet. So there is a lot of potential fight for the money pots, but if they are done wrongly, they are of course promoting siloification. So it's kind of the silo thinking. And as you said, climate should actually fit into all the baskets. But this is I think we are not yet really there. So I think it's really good to have probably a dedicated challenge setting for this.
Very much agreed. Thanks, Heinz.
Anyone that wants to talk to, just feel free to put up your hand and ask questions or make suggestions. Go for it. Okay, Nori. Sorry, I keep interrupting. Oh,
no worries. I'm just flipping through the slide deck now. So we have Fund 7 boosting Cardano DeFi. And within this category, 2 proposals have been identified by the community. Carbon is DeFi asset, block carbon, and then carbon. No,
And Thomas
DeFi
is
carbon
here.
token.
No, Thomas, you are here still? Or?
I'm here. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
still here.
well, I mean, I
Yeah,
spoke
you
to
want to
the.
speak to this?
Yeah, please speak about that.
I mean, it's very much what Simon said earlier, that we think that climate shouldn't be about activism, that it should really be about the market taking care of this, that we don't have to fight for small funds every round. So our idea is that we want to create a carbon market powered by Cardano, that the price of carbon right now, for example, that airlines are offering for their customers to offset is something like $6, $10 per metric ton. And that's not a sustainable price. I mean, if you look at the social cost of carbon, if you look at what it costs to plant a tree in the United States or in Europe, I think a price of $100 to $200 is much more realistic. So some other blockchains have already created carbon assets, and some of them, for example, they just burn these offsets instead of using them for industry to relieve their conscience. And we want to do something similar on Cardano, and it would be very interesting right now with the Malo pioneers coming up, with Plutus pioneers to do this in the DeFi space that is emerging. And we can offer a lot of things that other blockchains cannot offer with the security of our smart contracts. So we want the same thing that happened in finance, that the $2 trillion market cap really forced the banks to come to the table and listen to other stakeholders, to support decentralization, to support Web3, to listen to fintechs, to also happen for climate change. That a rising carbon price and everyone on the planet investing in carbon will help innovation, it will help reforestation and projects like that.
Yeah, and I read your proposal. It's excellent, incredible team, and excellent proposal. So really hope you'll get funded.
Thanks so much. Thanks.
Thank you. Next category is rapid funding mechanisms. It has a budget of $250,000, and there's the proposal workshop from Tivo, Scott, and Stephen. And then the Duki funding. Duki is a community stake pool initiative where there's 15 different community stake pools from Swarm, WADA, QA-DAO, and a bunch of others that are represented there. And they're trying to create a new kind of governance model for a community treasury. So they've all committed that their stake pools will contribute 10% of their stake pool rewards into a community treasury, and then these 15 different community projects get to decide how to spend those funds. And we don't have a proposal yet, but Cardano for Climate is thinking about a parallel initiative that we're calling Sakura, which is a climate or impact related community stake pool group that can do the same thing. And so stay tuned for those details. But for Fund 7, these are 2 of the things in the rapid funding mechanisms that the community has proposed. In community events, which is a $200,000 challenge, we have our, of course, our Cardano for Climate community events. Does somebody from the group want to talk about that one?
We put on events. We work hard. You know,
Yeah.
we're working. We have a weekly event now. We have a weekly core team meeting. We have a monthly event that we plan. We're already lining it up. Regenerative agriculture next time, sustainable building, and you know, all these different really cool subjects would help broaden the perspective of what's out there to create the applications on Cardano 4. And when we bring our communities together, we're going to end up having some pretty cool stuff come out of both Cardano for Climate and Cardano and Catalyst. And it's a very modest budget. You know, I said it, so it's a Fibonacci number.
Yeah, and I just spoke with June today, Thomas, and we said the next event after the building in a couple of months can be about carbon. I mean, I think that's a huge issue today, carbon and blockchain.
Okay, that would be brilliant. Yeah.
And then we have proposals from WADA with the University Student Registry, Grow, Afterteen, Grow Cardano, Ghana, Mass Cardano Education for Students, Conservation Factory Phase 1, and Educating Headquarters Locations. Is anybody from these proposals present to talk about them?
Professor Owusu is from the University of Ghana, and he's working on a project. This is his first proposal. Mercy and I worked with him with TiVo, and that's why his is in there, because TiVo is this great facilitator for collaboration and for getting things figured out for us. But he's got a really beautiful project. It may be over budgeted. We're going to keep working with him and figure this out, because what's happening in the community is they have a very small forest, and the people aren't educated enough to know, and they go and they steal wood because they need to use it, and it's not sustainable what's going on there. So he's got a really big vision of taking this as an education and creating a community oriented one. Yoram, you also know a little bit more about it as well, I think.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's related a lot to what we do with Tyler and the team about regenerative agriculture, and which is not, I mean, it's a very complex, it's related to supply chain of corporate eyes and so on. It's a very complex issue and very big focus today. And it's not one solution, it's more a landscape approach. So we are lucky to have someone like this professor on the ground in Ghana with a lot of knowledge, a lot of research, a lot of connection to boot on the ground. The question now, if we can bring the right technology and solution to help create transparency and traceability and help it grow. So very exciting one. So very interesting one.
And, you know, it ended up being in possibly the wrong category, community events. It might not have been, and maybe the ball was dropped on our part. It's kind of hard to communicate back and forth from North America to Ghana, and no excuses though. This fund, next fund will be different, and we'll get this figured out.
Yeah.
All right, next category is DAOs Love Cardano, $500,000 in ADA in this fund. And we have a whole bunch in here. We have Little Fish and Cardano for Climate DAO, Decentralization Farm to Table, Amalgua. We have the Woolly Mammoth, the Extension DAO, Water Preserving Culture through NFTs DAO, Bees Delivery DAO. Anybody in the community here want to talk to any of these? I know we have a number of people involved.
Yes, so about the Little Fish Foundation, we want to have a funding platform, and there's other people from here involved, like Nori and Eske and Melanie and Yoram, so many, right? Ryan. Yes, so, and if for everyone who knows Kiva, it's going to be like the Kiva website. I think it's kiva.com. Does anyone know?
Kiva.org.
.org, yes, right.
Yeah.
So basically, people can, have put their action on the ground onto the website, and then people from all around the world can help and support this work financially. Yes, so that is the vision. Last week last week we had a voting, and Eske won the first funding for his project of planting trees. Yes, so maybe you want to say one or two words, Eske, about that. think you took some initial action already, right?
Yes, sure, Simon. My internet connection is not so stable. I hope you can hear me.
Perfect.
So if you can hear me, yeah, Little Fish Foundation is really taking my attention, and I'm so much excited of being part of such a team, great team. And yeah, the idea is to support sustainable development goals related small actions. And my idea was a small action really, and I got support 1,000 ADA from the community. And this idea was a small part of a bigger project of creating sustainable development goals related school that will serve for the children to have some workshops. But the small part of the action was turning an empty area of 7 square meters to plant 200 trees there. And we will grow these seedlings from seeds, and we have already started with filling the seedling bags. And it's a small, but it will be become a bigger project in the future, hopefully. So thank you very much once again for already supporting before getting any fund from the Fund 7. This Little Fish Foundation already started doing some small actions.
Yeah, I would just
Hopefully,
like to add one thing there. This initiative is driven by technology people. So it's really a strong technology team that is actually came with the idea, and then we as a community, we started to support it. So it's very high technology driven, and yeah.
Probably there will be other proposals related to this because it's a really big project as well. Although it's a Little Fish, there will be a kind of treasury behind this because we would like to run SPOs that support the process, and that's a kind of advantage to other related projects like Kiva, because that will have a treasury system already supporting small actions. There are different kind of components of Little Fish Foundation initiative. I hope you could hear me because I cannot hear you sometimes.
Very good. Nori had to just maybe step away for a second there. Yeah, so our first funding round went through, and the idea is to make it direct, that we can pick and choose. It's going to be transparent. It's going to be quick, you know, so, and then we'll see where it goes. We may have some problems. Who doesn't? But we'll work it out. Very excited to know you've already planted seeds, knowing that seeds take time. You know, an apple tree, for example, 7 years before you start seeing fruit. So I'm really glad that you've been able to start it already.
Yeah, 100 of them. So I need to plant 100 of them too. But I will do a kind of testing because now it's winter. And I wonder if the seeds will be okay under the snow. And I will be waiting for a better climate. Hopefully they should be okay under the snow because they just wait for a good time, right? It's not that cold here, but it's snowy. So I will plant 100 more of them. And then in summertime, we will move these seeds to its original place, and we will extend it to the area.
Cool.
Is Nori back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, awesome.
Is anybody else from this page around? Like Jacob, do you want to talk to yours?
I have a question.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. I was just wondering, I see there are a lot of similar projects or tools that are being produced in Cardano. Particularly, there are some built by IOG or Emergo, but also people proposing in Catalyst. How do we see this redundancy? What to tackle this redundancy? And
I think we have the right person for that here. Maybe Heinz, is that something that the DLT 360 covers?
Yeah, I can say what we are aiming for is, let's say, what Cardano Cube is kind of showing currently the applications in clusters, but it's not kind of evaluating in terms of a portfolio management. And we would like to establish, first of all, in the dimension of the radar called applications, where are the priorities? And also where are, let's say, overlaps and where are potential partnering possibilities, so to enable the community to do a better kind of portfolio management approach. But that will, of course, not come overnight. This is substantial work, but it's one of the 4 pillars we have on the priority for the first round. Absolutely.
Thanks, Heinz. Was there any was that a good answer for you, Tefera, or?
Yes, for Hans. I would really like to listen from the small fish or big fish team, because how do they see their own proposal or project from? I think Charles was talking about similar tool in Cardano, what IOG is doing, and from that perspective, how do they see that?
I'm not aware of a similar project in Cardano, to be honest. In terms of little fish, I think someone mentioned in a meeting that there's a project like that doesn't even exist in the blockchain, but don't quote me on that. Sorry. So yes, I don't think there's
I know. So
Cardano.
Charles was speaking. I mean, after actually we presented it, Dr. Michaela told us that Charles, it's actually the dream of Charles to do something like that. So it was not there yet, but from our knowledge, it's not there yet. But it's kind of something that he really wants to do it on Cardano. But I mean, you can join. The calls are on Monday. Every Monday. It's an open community call. Everyone is welcome to join and discuss and see how to develop it and join this community. So there is a Monday, 7 p.m. UTC. Again, it's in the calendar of Cardano for Climate. And you're welcome to join and see how we can develop it to your region, if that's what your intention.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to know that I'm seeing some redundant projects being proposed in for example, this wallets and other things. Some of them are not really very secure, or I don't know if they create value to the community or for the society. So I just want to understand what we do about that part.
I think in principle, so from my perspective, I think it's not a problem if multiple projects are working on the same thing separately, because it also kind of helps with, sometimes one of the projects will fail, and then at least we have a backup plan. On the other hand, also, what is, like, if you don't have competition, then you might not be as pressured to, ship fast or, do things, take risks and that is also, I think that also helps in the whole ecosystem, like having competition with each other.
Yeah, it would just be good. It would just be good to have this in kind of a structured portfolio view, so that it's not hidden, so that everyone knows. For example, there are different microfinancing initiatives. It is beautiful to have 2, 3, 4 of the same, but it should be known and not a surprise. So that's.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I spoke about it once with Phil from AIM. You have the voter tool, and I told him, yeah, I mean that's, and he is really in the opinion, even though that it's his tool, is in the opinion there should be many voting tools. I mean, there should not be one. And I love this approach. Is there should be many tools that serve of the community and not kind of one way to do things. So I really appreciated his opinion there.
Yes, that opens up actually another view. Like sometimes those different projects, they specialize on different things, and then they get more valuable on this specialized task or something.
Thanks. Thanks, answer.
Yeah, we're
That
definitely in
be-
the phase where we're letting 1,000 flowers bloom, and then as we get into like too much, then we have the community responding by like Heinz and his group saying we need a portfolio management thing. And I think that's a really good problem to have. And as we mature through steps and stages, we keep creating our own problems because we're growing really big, and then we create mechanisms and functions to rein it in. And it's just kind of this continuous leapfrog of evolution and innovation.
I did drop a link in the chat for a form if I've missed, if we've missed any of these proposals. It's a big task. So if something's missed and I don't quite understand the proposal, up to the community to add it, and we'll put these in our deck.
Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. Anybody else from the DAOs Love Cardano page that want to talk to their proposal? Okay, we'll move to the next.
Has
slide.
Jacob dropped off?
It sounds, I looked and I couldn't find him on our
Yeah,
call.
because he has mentioned, the woolly mammoth, and he's recognizing what's happening with little fish. I hope I can speak for him, but he was, talking about wanting to be able to take back that and support little fish. He's actually made a comment on Idea Scale, to shift the attention over to what's going on with little fish. He's got the inside scoop because he's part of it as well. So there's a collaboration that happened after the deadline.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he's actively participating. Checker.
Okay. So the dApps and integration space, this one is $250,000 in ADA, which I think is way too small for the number of proposals that always wind up in this category. So that was a miss by the community. I hope we fix that in Fund 8. And we have a number here: Climate Change Lottery. We have Cardano from Peter, Decentralized Bees Delivery System, Feta Chain, Renovating the Food Chain Urban Farmer dApp, and Local Charity Fundraising Platform. Is anybody in the community here to talk to any of these?
Well,
There is
Lawrence is here. Yeah. Is it a good time to present, or will you need more time than our regular meeting?
No, I can do this in like 10, 15 minutes if that works for you guys.
Yeah, maybe we can just roll it into this part and combine it all.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
Go for it.
Sure. Well, let me just then share if I can. Let's see.
Do you need to share your screen?
Yeah, if I can, just to.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so I'm gonna go share screen. Okay, I am sharing. Okay, can you see my screen? Is that a yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, good stuff. All right, okay, so let's just move this out of the way. Minimize that completely. Okay.
You need, yeah, there you go.
All right. Okay, so the climate change lottery, helping fight climate change with Cardano. So the problem that proposal is trying to address is that most people would like more action to be taken to fight climate change, but it needs to be done in a fun and engaging way. So a solution to this problem is basically try to become a lottery, the largest lottery in the world. So it's a bit of a moonshot, but it kind of makes sense if it can be done at scale, and have the rewards of the lottery kind of go towards planting trees. And I've added, protecting existing forests, because there's been lots of really good discussions in this community that you guys have here around obviously the benefits of planting new trees, as well as protecting existing forests. And this lottery can be used, you can have multiple lotteries, and they can be used for either kind of type of initiative. So really the nuts of it, and I put a diagram together to better explain how it kind of works. And there's some kind of key concepts here. So basically the player would, or players obviously, they would buy a lotto ticket. And within the lottery, which is a smart contract on the blockchain, 49% of that ticket cost would go towards funding the jackpot. So the jackpot would continue to increase. Almost half of it would go to the treasury. So there would be continual reserve of funding to help fund future lotteries. And then there would be a 2% admin fee for servers and some other costs to kind of help keep the lottery running. So when a jackpot actually happens, basically, and doesn't obviously happen every time, and there'd be different kind of tiers of jackpots. So sometimes you win it all, or sometimes you win a portion of it, depending on the lotto number matching. But 50% of the jackpot rewards would go to the player, 50% would go to the sponsor. And so that's how the sponsor can get funding. There's another element here that's a new feature that's coming out, which I think has got a lot of interesting possibilities too, is around the staking rewards. So as funds get locked into the smart contract for both the jackpot and treasury, there's an ability, or future ability, to start staking that amount. So again, you could have the sponsor not only get the 50% jackpot rewards, but also get staking rewards. So have more kind of a continuous stream of income, or donations come through the lottery, even if they're waiting for the jackpot. But again, the jackpot would be different tiers, so it wouldn't necessarily always be the big mother load. It could be smaller amounts. But between those two, you've got funding mechanisms that can go back to the sponsor of the lottery. Any questions on this slide?
So just the sponsor would be a project that comes along and says, I need X number of dollars to work on preserving this area of a forest.
Yeah,
is that the
exactly.
idea?
Yep.
Okay. So, and you've obviously figured out the logistics and the legalities of US, Canadian. How does that work? That portion of, because I hear lottery and I go, uh-oh, there's regulations, isn't there?
Yeah, there absolutely is. And it obviously depends on the size here. So, and really what I'm focused on right now is the technology, to actually build the technology, and we'll talk about this, that you have a blockchain lottery that can be used to help drive and fund different sponsors, or so exactly, whether it be like a Veritree or some other projects, or many projects. Again, this can be, you can have different smart contracts running for different sponsors.
Perfect. So what you're focusing on is the actual smart contract of the lottery to make it work. Perfect.
Correct. Yes, exactly. And then so when you're dealing then with the actual, particularly when you get to a certain size of lottery, then you need to start, and if you're going to be marketing, into jurisdictions and all that other stuff. But that's where exactly you need to start, potentially getting licenses in certain areas and whatnot. So it is a kind of a different kettle of fish. Right now, this is just working really more on the technology. And once the technology is kind of there and proven, then you can work with different aspects to kind of get, work with your sponsors. They may or may not have fundraising already. They do, and this is just a form of fundraising that they do. So basically utilizing the blockchain technology, again, just a bit of a primer on how it kind of works, is that you basically have these transactions that work, and this is a simplified view, but kind of gives a sense of how this actually is going to be structured. So basically, you got a person with their ADA. Basically, they basically buy a ticket, and within this transaction and the smart contract, it basically says it knows how much the cost of the ticket is, and adds the cost, so the jackpot, it continues to increase. And again, but it's all on chain. So this is the kind of the beauty of the blockchain, is that it's open and transparent, and it's immutable, like meaning that the accounting of the lottery is not done by some other party. It's all here within the blockchain. Something called a datum was what's used, and it has these different elements. So it says who has the min public key, so who can help start lotteries and stop lotteries, what's the cost of the ticket, ultimately the winning number when it's determined, the jackpot size, the treasury, and a number of other fields. And so it can be constrained of what the lotto admin can do. Again, in these examples and the program that I'm writing is basically just to start and stop a lottery, and making sure that the funds can't get embezzled, so that the beneficiaries that are identified are in the blockchain, and that it's very guarded on how that would change. So basically to make sure that everyone's aligned with who's going to get the winnings as they occur. So because you have a lot of proposals, I'm not going to go through too much detail, but this is an example of how blockchain transactions would work to actually do the payout at the end. So Alice puts money in, the lotto admin closes the lottery in this example, and then basically the Alice who had the winning ticket would actually then use her token. Again, it's a token that's been issued by the lottery, and so therefore it guarantees that she's the only owner of that ticket, so she would win, and then the script would continue on to the next lottery. And then this technology stack, again, so something like this, it would really be around the mobile is kind of a very key part here. So the mobile app would be the primary interface for interacting with the lottery. So that's what have notifications and have a gamification and make it fun and enjoyable with icons and visuals that allows the users to participate in the lottery. And then the desktop view would really be around just getting the marketing material about it, information about past lotteries and winners. And then again, this would be the guts of how the whole thing operates. And so once you have a smart contract on the Cardano network, this is how you interface with it. And so this is why multiple sponsors could then be starting to utilize this. And again, this is all open source, so anyone could spin this up and deploy this solution. So it's definitely not proprietary in any way, shape, or form. But the idea is to make it really slick and easy to set up a lottery that has low barriers to entry.
Sorry, I'm curious, what is that PAB part there?
So the PAB, that's the PAB. You probably heard about Charles and IOHK talk about this. It's the PAB. So this is basically the Plutus application backend. And so this is kind of the core, and I think it's really neat with Cardano. Again, they've put a lot of emphasis on having a language that developers can write on that can encapsulate the logic that needs to be running on these smart contracts. And so that's where I've been focusing my efforts, is writing basically an application that runs in the PAB. Because for me, that's so much better to be writing in that, and that's writing in Haskell, as opposed to having to work at right on the network layer. So like all the apps that are out there right now, typically they're writing, they have their own PAB, or they write to the network directly, and it's very cumbersome, and it's tedious, and it's not very intuitive sometimes, and it's error prone. So if you can leverage what they're building here, which I'll quickly show the code in a sec, then it's, you really abstract some of the mechanics that are occurring down here and make your application a little bit more focused on the business logic and having, having it be provably correct and stuff like that. And that makes it a lot easier to write applications. And then the PAB talks to a bunch of different systems here in order to transact with the network.
I have a question for you, Lawrence.
Sure.
Is this lottery something that you and your group will be running as a thing, or is this open source software that other groups could leverage to run their own lotteries? So I just wanted to be intent.
It's open source, so anyone could set up and run it. So that's the end goal. Here's the code for the PAB, and then all the other code to basically be able to set this up themselves. So anyone could set this up.
Amazing.
If I identify a sponsor, then I may work with them to help set this lottery up for them. So then in that case, then I would be involved in the setup for here. But it's definitely, it depends on the sponsor, and it depends ultimately on the funding that gets approved for this proposal and the subsequent funding that I'll need for in fund date as well.
Amazing. So this could be something that Cardano for Climate or Little Fish could use as a mechanism for fundraising. And
correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
so,
I love it. I think also one small remark is the connection. I mean, you're focusing on the lottery, but the connection to the can be connection to Little Fish or Very Tree that also is on the blockchain basically. So it would be continuous of the funding also to the blockchain-based initiative that then show also the impact and transparency of what happened, right? Eventually, which is key. So it's not to any organization. So it's all in a loop.
So in a key part in my proposal is to talk about, if I go down here, and this is where this overlaps. So again, so I created this proposal back when I didn't, I wasn't talking to any of you folks or seeing any of the other projects. And so this talks to the overlap that people have been talking about. So in order for this, from an MVP perspective, I was kind of in a silo perspective. Okay, so create a lotto and then have a DAO that would be set up as the sponsor, for example, and then go through kind of the, an end-to-end life cycle of what this would look like. But clearly there's intersections here. So like Little Fish is an example, or other ones, because this lottery, exactly, you would want to set it up as a DAO. You don't want to have one person hold the keys and be making all the decisions. So, as fund date comes around, I'll see where things net out, see what are the next challenges. But definitely, I'm very interested in this DAO piece to basically, how could you, in this case, with this lottery, set it up so it would be maintained by the DAO. So I think that's a very key part, is to have a DAO. If you want to change the beneficiary of the lottery, how would you get the DAO to vote, and then basically, change that public key so that is done through kind of a governance mechanism. So I think that's quite interesting. So that's about me. Again, I've done about 20 plus years of web application development. I do have a computer science degree from U of T, but that was quite some time ago. Although we did functional programming back then, so it's actually coming back full circle. I was involved in the Plutus Pioneer second cohort, although I was busy working at the time, so I wasn't as active on the Discord as I would have liked to be. And I've always been an open source and crypto enthusiast. And last thing I'm going to show, I was going to do a demo, but I don't think we have time. But I am going to just show the code, because I think that's an important piece here to understand why that there's so much effort on Plutus as an application. So I'm going to not go through all the code, but there's one key piece here that's basically using what's called a state machine. So it's quite elegant, again, that you can write this in Plutus, and the guts of the logic can all be here and easily understood, right? So in this case, I've got a lottery, I've got different stages that you go through to basically start it and buy it, close it, redeem it, calculate, and then the payments, calculate the fees. So you can just encapsulate the logic quite nicely here, and the underlying, all the balancing of transactions and all this stuff, it happens, but it abstracts it away. So it makes, from a programming perspective, kind of cool that you can really focus in on how what's the business logic going to work, and then obviously it's all leveraged on the blockchain technology underneath. So it's just a pretty cool example. Again, it's a bit to get used to Haskell, but once you get experienced around it, it's pretty powerful. I find, from a programming perspective. And again, I've dealt with lots of different languages in the past, but I've been pretty impressed on the language side once you kind of start to understand how to work it, and then the Plutus libraries. Again, as mentioned, it's early days, so things are changing. The PAB keeps changing, so so this was working a month ago, and then I got the latest PAB, and I had to fix a few things. So, but that's kind of as expected at this stage of the overall kind of ecosystem maturity level. And that's basically about it. I've got a demo that shows it all working, but I think I'll create a video for that and then just upload it to my channel at some point. Okay, any other questions, folks?
Amazing. Thanks, Lawrence.
I think it's amazing. Yeah, it's great. Well done. I mean, Melanie, please.
No,
wanna say
Nori's
something?
speaking. No, I just think we do something called a 50-50 draw, you know, at events, whatever cool event we're at, we send out tickets. The idea of playing a game, we know that the 50% is going towards some good cause, really cool. And then the other 50% goes to some lucky person in our group that, you know, ends up paying their rent or something, you know, and it's kind of a neat way of doing it. I always have that legality thing, the word lottery, it's, you know, maybe there could be a different word for it. I don't know, but who knows? That's just an opinion on my part. Lottery,
yeah, no, and that's a really good point. So clearly, and that's come up a few times around the licenses and the legalities. So I think I think what we've identified is that, and everyone can relate to lotteries because they're all over the place, and some have very big jackpots, etc., and stuff like that. So they're all over the world. So clearly, there's a demand and a usage for them. So but what governments obviously do is want to have regulations around it, particularly to make sure they can get tax revenues. And so again, done some research on that, and again, a lot of the smaller lotteries are not, you know, there may be some government fee that you pay for the rewards that go out. And then as they get larger, then clearly there's other permits that might be needed. But those are solvable problems, right? They're just, but you need the right people to help with those areas. And again, this is a decentralized model. So again, at the grassroots, you would have different lotteries by different organizations, and you can work through these and probably benefit from common legal framework.
Very, very simple application though, you know, to be able to do a lot of good real quick. So fantastic. Simon, sorry, Nori, I keep jumping in to take over.
All good. Simon, go ahead.
I think it's great, actually. Yeah. I wanna ask one thing is, do you know, we just talked about it, but do you know like what your liabilities are as a creator of the system? Like if someone uses your system and then there's damage happening.
So it's an open source under an open source license, so the Apache license, and it clearly states, you know, as author of the software, you're not liable for damages caused by the software. So that would be key. Second of all is that I would basically myself, I work through my consulting company. So again, it's not just myself. It's actually I work for a company, my own company. And then thirdly, exactly that's where the DAO would come in, is very handy. Is that would be the organization that actually runs the lottery. So that again, so from actually end users perspective using it, that's what they would interact with. So there's a couple areas, but yeah, it's definitely, you know, you need to be careful of that, but that's really where the open source license software covers.
You said that the organization would be a DAO, but I feel like DAOs are very overly used. Like the
so the example would.
May I finish, please?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah. Okay.
So the A in DAO is autonomy, which means autonomy from governments, which you know, probably, you know, doesn't apply to 90% of the DAOs that we hear about. So could you speak a little bit about that? And
yeah, so the DAO would be, and obviously with it, you need some legal organization, right? So as an example, and that's kind of why the proposal is kind of, you know, full end-to-end, you know, what would it take to actually then run a lottery that could actually do something of meaning? So that's where a DAO component would come in. And so you'd, you know, so if there was no sponsor so let's just say I wanted to create the lottery because there's no sponsor. What I would do would basically figure out a legal jurisdiction where gaming is favored, incorporate a company in that area again, and then create a DAO that represents that company, and have people involved in the governance of it. So then you could define the parameters of the lottery, of who gets the lottery, how much it costs, and what are the timelines. So that's just kind of an end-to-end example of the structure. But obviously this lottery, as I mentioned, is open source. So any organization can use that. So if there's an organization that wants to use this lottery and use the code, they could either, if they could spin it up themselves, or I can help them, or we can set up a way that makes sense. And then again, they would run the lottery, and this is just, it's open source code, and they would be involved. I would be involved as much as needed, right? Or maybe not at all. It depends on what they wanted to do with it. So that's kind of where, when I'm saying DAO, it's really is kind of a view of, okay, how would I take this from end to end? Because just writing the code is one thing, but I'm very interested in thinking how would this be used. And there are different cases. Some might be where an organization may say, okay, I'd love to be a sponsor, but I don't have any wherewithal or the people or the resources to set up the infrastructure or set up the DAO or set up the DAO in this case. So then, that might be a collaboration to work on. Okay, well, let's get that set up. Or there might be organizations that say, well, I've got a DAO, and I've got a website already. I've got some servers in Amazon, so we can just put, then you can just load the code there, and I can help out. Or if they don't need my help, then they don't need my help at all. So it's quite flexible.
So in this case, you're talking about DAOs as like, say, a real legal Wyoming DAO, and not in the sense of, oh, we're a DAO because we're a bunch of people around the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good clarification.
Well, I'm also thinking, as a way to generate funds, why not use this tool for little fish? Isn't that a possibility? If the money is coming from places where they're allowed to contribute to it and also allowed to win the outcome from it, I can't see there being a problem. It's going to be created anyways. People are going to be doing it, and it's going to be closed, and it's going to be proprietary. Lawrence is doing this open source, so it can be used for massive good, which is very exciting. Thanks for sharing that, Lawrence. Really cool.
No worries. Thanks, guys. And again, well, thank you guys for doing this, having this community. I think this is great. I echo all the comments that have been made, that this is, the cross-pollination is great, so you can see different points of view, different people. So this has been a great journey. And obviously me as a proposal, I just proposed this last year. I didn't know any people obviously in this community, and it's been neat to see all of the different projects, and you guys are highlighting. So these are all, I think, the right check marks are being checked. And I look forward to this year as well. This is great because as an app developer, it's really important to get grounded in people with real issues trying to solve real problems, and not be just in some bubble where you think of some idea. This is great. So this is great. So we'll see what happens. The app and integration, agreed, it's got a lot of competition. So I don't know, we'll see. But I'm not going away. I think this is really cool, and I think a lot of what you guys are doing cool. And I agree. I think that there's lots of collaboration opportunities going forward. So, thanks everyone.
Thank you, Lawrence. And I know Heinz just left, but he was here from DLT 360, and one of the things that he and his group are working on is a risk radar, and part of that is around legislation and taxation and things like that. So there may be some overlap points there where you could work with them to figure out some of this stuff, especially for the community as a large, as they step in and want to adopt this as an open source package.
Okay, well, that's great. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good point.
All right, anything else from this page that people want to talk to that are here? Not, we're cruising. We got 15 minutes left, so I'm gonna start flipping through here. We have Gamers Unchained. Mike has a couple, Beatrix and Sandbox MMO for learning languages. Sean has Gamifying Littercoin. We have Omi Mimo, the Pure Water Sea NFT game, Rewild, Bison Ranching, and Augmented Reality, and then Platform for Painters. any of those people here that want to talk to their proposal? Oh, sounds like there's a lot of gaming.
Totally unscripted. You know, we run through the proposal and it's like, oh, just
So take a
go
look.
for it.
If you're interested in gaming applications and supporting those, there's a bunch here listed.
I just want to say, Sean's Litercoin. I saw Sean's Litercoin gamifying that. I mean, that would, I think that is, Sean is doing a great project with Litercoin, and I haven't looked at the proposal. I'm definitely gonna look at that one. I think that is gonna be really interesting. Also, I gotta say, I was with him in the entrepreneurial class for startups. And I think Sean made a really good case for his project. I think people should check that out. Just want to say that.
He's doing really good work there with citizen science and decentralizing the work of doing all that work to collect the data. So I think it's a really good initiative.
Yeah,
right,
and we need to download the app and participate. We have a challenge. I'm actually uploading quite a lot.
The challenge is on with WADA, and it's like, this is a great challenge. We need to be challenged to be good stewards of our pollution. My goodness, I watched the Plastic Ocean the other night. Don't watch it before you go to bed because it's a nightmare. You know what's going on, and Sean and the work he's doing with Litercoin, absolutely amazing. In our Telegram chat, we've seen pictures of a group in Malawi. The area is absolutely covered with plastic, and this group of volunteers comes in. They've got gloves and bags that we need to help support them with, and they come and they clean it up. And it's like, this is people on the ground actually doing work. I'm going to scoot over to Telegram and get some sign up stuff here. So
excellent. All right, we have a whole bunch of stuff in the SPO category. And I know we have a few people here. Oscar, I don't know if you want to talk about that Eco SPO to support climate action.
Yeah, most particularly this Global Sustainable Independent SPO is very good, I think. Therefore, I want to be a challenge team member, and I'm one of the challenge team member. It's always good to remind that we are using energy, and eventually we have some carbon footprint or other footprints to the nature. So we need to always seek for sustainability and environmentally friendly solutions. So this challenge more specifically want to support SPO initiatives that has focus on the global sustainable global sustainability. So I have a challenge. I want to bring these initiatives doing good for the environment and those SPOs who want to support these initiatives together. And I guess Nori has similar. So we will see how we can cooperate afterwards once we have the results of this voting. Yeah, there are several initiatives out there. I'm happy to see this challenge, and this challenge is also in the Fund 8. We will see it with the increased budget. So you can already consider creating some proposals under this challenge.
Yeah, this is a natural challenge for our community to submit things because it's around global sustainability, and there's a lot of familiar names here. Oscar, myself, I see CO2 Pool and Dr. Christian Unger and Raz, and just our community is, at least the technical side is represented here, which is really nice to see. So definitely take a look at these proposals, and I agree, Oscar, there's plenty of opportunity here for collaboration because there are some really similar kind of ideas floating through here. So I look forward to seeing how all this transpires over the next week. I'm just kind of moving through more quickly because we're running out of time and we have a few more to go through. We have improve and grow auditability, $100,000. You want to talk about this one, Yoram?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we did with Raz already for Fund 6 how much Catalyst is related to SDGs, and the numbers are incredible. I mean, most of the proposals are basically somehow related to SDGs directly or indirectly. Directly 26% and indirectly basically the rest, because the infrastructure of the blockchain. But now what we want to take it to the next level is how actually we measure the impact. And that's really the key focus for me this year, as most of you know. So how we build a tool and actually measure the impact on nature, on people, so we can actually say, hey, Catalyst proposal impact nature footprint mitigation in this amount, right? In the somehow scientific way. And this is how many people they impacted to increase their revenue. So all of that we basically propose to start working on that, because we think it's very important, I mean, aspect. If we speak about impact, SDGs, okay, you do SDG 5, okay, but what's the impact on the SDG 5? I mean, right? So we need to quantify it. So that's the purpose of that research of this part. So a small budget to start really the research and come with suggestions and start doing some modeling there.
Awesome. Would this also allow funded proposals to add a KPI or two to feed into this?
Yeah, so completely. I mean,
actively measuring.
So this is another. So we will connect the two, right? We did the SDG tool for proposals where they can actually see which SDGs they fit, and now we want, and with some KPIs, and now we want to take it to the next level where they can actually connect direct KPIs for impact. Yeah. So that will be part of the result of that. Very cool one.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Grow Latin America, Grow Cardano. We have 4 proposals here on nourishing LATAM, spirulina and Cardano, sustainable Latin American use cases, clean water, raise awareness, and Card Agro, a marketplace for agro. Does anybody here want to speak to any of those? And we've shared the link to the slide deck in chat. And I'm sure we'll be promoting those in social media channels as well, so that if you're interested in these lists and want to take a closer look at these proposals, they'll be available for you.
And just say that Cole and Raz, they do a lot of work in kind of telling the stories of the different location of the impact and sustainability of Cardano. So they have different proposals around that, doing an extraordinary job there. There's going to be some research papers published in the next few months about that, with different universities and so on. So that's really their focus. Great to have them in the community.
Absolutely. All right, and we have the famous miscellaneous challenge. Do you want to talk to this one, Melanie, since you're on the challenge team?
Yeah. No, I'm not on this challenge team. I'm on the challenge setting challenge team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you. No, not the miscellaneous one, but the catch-all.
All right.
Great
All right.
idea. Like, this was a great initiative to put a category to catch all to begin with. Absolutely great idea.
Yeah, maybe Yoram, can speak since your name's on a lot of these proposals.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we are missing here one of the most important one, which is of Christian, actually, of Cardano. I don't know if it's here, actually, the calculation of the Cardano footprint. So that one we will end, but I think for me it's a very, very important one. And then I have a couple, but the one that for me is crucial and very important again is the Cardano footprint, carbon footprint ledger with Scott, which we all know. Remember from the first conference, so I work a lot with him. And basically, how can we make transparency and traceability for companies to calculate their carbon ledger, put it on the blockchain, and then mitigate it through projects on the ground and vetted projects, so that also will be on the blockchain. So Verity is a good example, how to mitigate the carbon in a transparent way that money will flow one side, carbon mitigation will go to the other side, and so there'll be ledger in both sides, both of the projects on the ground and as well as the companies. So and Scott already doing it with companies. We just bring it to the blockchain. I mean, something that's already a service that he offers for My Carbon Zero. And the objective is start bringing it to the blockchain. And there's some very interesting collaboration around that can be, in Canada. I shared with you and others that are now discussing. So the blockchain will just bring transparency again to all this discussion of calculating carbon footprint and mitigating. We ask again very small budget for a pilot with his own client to really start the process there and show how can we scale. And we build it as a business. I mean, this can be a business that can scale very nicely. We believe a lot of people will need that.
Can someone find the link to Christian's, Dr. Unger's proposal?
Yeah, I will find it for you.
Thanks, Yoram.
1 second.
And again, highlighting the need for a Cardano for Climate challenge setting is a lot of our community projects have fallen into the miscellaneous challenges because they can't fit anywhere else. And we're competing against all the things in a very small miscellaneous challenge. There's only 200,000 ADA devoted to this space. But there's a lot of great projects here, and we have a lot of community members represented. I see Wild NFT and a bunch of names here that we see on a regular basis. So please do take a look at these proposals.
And that's one thing I want to bring up too, because, going through Idea Scale last night, I came across some that I've never seen before. And it's like, wow, these guys are way out here. Why didn't I know about them? Why didn't I have the time to go through this and actually draw them into the community and make connections so that they stay? We have so many great ideas, so many different perspectives, and we have this, fire hose of information, and we need to figure out the way to connect people. And when you have something around carbon, impact, gardening, regenerative agriculture, protecting forests, this is something that makes you stay, and we connect over our hearts and the things that drive us. So let's hope it changes this next one, and we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be pretty powerful if we can get the category challenge around climate change.
And I think one message also that would be very interesting is exactly the message now we had with DLT 360. I mean, hey, you are part of the community. Come and drive, your area, what you like, your passion, and the community will help you, right? I mean, so there's no, it's all part of the community. Drive what you're passionate about. We'll try to help you and support you as a community, and let's help each other basically. I think that's a cool message for this year.
So we have two here. We have multilingual resources with two proposals: Sustainability Hub for all backgrounds and Scale Up Water's Translation, French Plus. And then we have Connecting Japan, Nihon Community with 50,000 ADA. And we have Raz and Cole with Sustainability Hub for Japan Community here.
Yeah.
Any other details on these that anybody wants to provide?
Just when I look at this, I think about how many communities we're missing because of language. We spend a lot of times working on a proposal, and we're spending so much time in the process, and we could actually be, making a lot of really cool connections, turning these meetups, creating other time zones that work for other communities, and connecting, because we're not in a silo. We're not alone. There's other things going on. Dimitri's in the call right now from Sri Lanka, well, getting close to midnight if it isn't already. And when you start connecting with other communities, you start realizing what's really going on in the real world. And Whew.
All right, nation building apps. We have a number here. Cardano Care, accelerating enterprise adoption, NFT for food value chain resilience, Landano, which is another project from Peter, who does the Tridano project, and then Cardano for species management. Does anybody want to speak to any of these? If not, go check them out. There's some really good proposals in that list.
I have a really
Um,
cool voting tip. If you see WADA on it, vote for it. Right? Because, yeah, you know, this is another community that's working these amazing projects and collaborating with others. Absolutely. You know, Catalyst School, you see their name on something, Swarm on something. You know, there's other communities around here doing real good work. And in creating these lists, it's like, oh my goodness, there's so many good ones. But what we have to do as a voter is connect with the ones that resonate with our heart and our purpose and what we want to see happen. So, you know, don't take this list as written in stone. Follow your heart. There's freedom to do that here.
Absolutely. This slide is new SPO business opportunities. The previous SPO slide was around sustainable SPOs. This one is around new business opportunities. There's a bunch here. I see Sean has Litercoin stake pool. We have the carbon credit methodology from the ESG pool. Free energy SPO by OST. SPO is anti-climate change vehicle by Cream, and charity funding SPO. Anybody here want to talk to any of these? I have to say it's nice to see 2 SPO challenge setting areas for SPOs, because they've been a group that is key to our ecosystem. They're the whole reason Cardano works, and they've been fairly underrepresented in Catalyst for a while. So it's nice to have spaces for them to propose things. So definitely take a look at both the sustainable SPOs and this new SPO business opportunity space. Open source developer ecosystem. I just have to get onto my soapbox and say, this is another one where I think the community missed that there's only 200,000 ADA in this one. We should have like millions in this one to help develop open source for the community and really support the developers. So hopefully in Fund 8, we'll have a larger pool there. But here we have open source for the environment and Fund 7 proposals plus SDGs from Cardano AIM. Do you want to talk to any of these? Yoram, your name is here again. And you're muted.
Yeah, this is a continuous of the work that we did in Fund 6, basically. So we asked for much less budget this time to continue the work and basically continue to connect the SDGs to the proposal. We are trying to automate it as much as possible with Lucio. So it will be part of the process probably already in Fund 8. It will be already part of the process, but we still need to analyze all the one from Fund 7. So we have Fund 6. And we analyze, by the way, not only the funded proposal, we analyze all of them. So we have a database that will be available for everyone, where everyone can look for proposals, see SDGs, search by SDGs. So again, it's a continuous work to connect the SDGs and Catalyst.
And we have one from Henno. Is he here today? I don't see him. Okay, getting through this list. Scale up Cardano's community hubs. We have a few here. The first one is from the Cardano for Climate community. And we want to help build up our own Cardano for Climate community hub. But we also have things from WADA, Spread Polluters Through Africa, Blockchain Learning Centers, Zimbabwe Developers for Cardano, Model ICT Hub for deprived students, and Catalyst in Emerging Markets. Does anybody want to speak to any of these? All right. I will shill, since this is a Cardano for Climate meeting, that our Cardano for Climate Community Hub proposal is to help incentivize and reward some of the key people that are working on keeping the community going. It's largely or totally been a volunteer effort up till now. So this is our first proposal to help bring in some funds to help reward people for their contributions and participation. So I think it's very important. definitely consider that one.
Imagine that, getting paid for something you love to do and you do anyways. You know, we didn't get funded last time as a challenge team, and it's not going to stop us. We're going to keep doing what we have to do. So very, very cool.
Yeah, and I think we already check off the feasibility and impact things. We're proving that just by doing. So yeah.
Yeah, and I will add that, I mean, again, we got to 200 people in 4 or 5 months, and as Melanie like to say, it's only the beginning. I mean, we have so much to still do, so to go through, you know, and for that we need some budget also to support design activities. I mean, different activities and different.
And again, it's a very modest budget, very, very modest. Another Fibonacci number. We're at the half hour, right, Nori? I'm sorry, I had to scoot away. Just before anybody goes away, we do have a portion actually at Town Hall today. You know, other community voices have been called on to speak. And so, you know, showing your support, putting your snail on behind you, you know, really awesome, whatever that may be. But yeah, it'd be kind of neat to just, you know, we have the opportunity to hear what we have to say. So let's be there if you can, Town Hall.
And I think we just have a couple more slides left, so I'll go through them quickly. This one is seeding Cardano's grassroots DeFi. And we have 3 proposals in here: DAO for plastic recycling, local context, DeFi Cameroon, and 300 Plutus trained women by 2025. Sound like excellent proposals, so definitely go take a look. Right, we're through. That's the deck. And do you want to take us home, Melanie or Yoram, to talk to these last slides?
So this was the community generated slides. And again, there's a whole bunch of challenges missing. There's going to be proposals missing throughout this. I put the link in the chat to add proposals to the form. We'll try and get them in if we can. But yeah, there's more information for those people that can't see this on Idea Scale. So, and we'll do something about the links as well to make it easy. But it's a lot of work to do this.
Definitely a lot of work. And again, there's the link to the Cardano for Climate Challenge. So definitely give that a consideration as we go into voting.
Good. Anyone want to say something? Comment?
Woo!
Oh, how are you? Yeah, woo! We have in 1.5 hours the town hall. Going to bed, Dimitri. Yeah, it's only 2 in the morning for you, or midnight. Yeah.
Good night. Sleep fast. Sleep
Good
fast.
night,
Sleep
bye-bye.
hard, Dimitri. Yeah. Yeah. So there's a bunch of other slides here, you know, and Jam, who isn't here either, like he's this amazing tech guy and he creates these slides for us. There's so much stuff going on in the background. Hanno, who wasn't here to present either, you know, super helpful. So sometimes you see a face to a community, but our community is big, you know, and a lot of people aren't, you don't see their faces, but really, really quite cool. Lots of stuff there.
Check out the slide deck. There's links to a lot of the groups that have been mentioned who have proposals in Fund 7, and it'll take you to their websites and to their proposals and the different things that are happening in our community. We're growing really rapidly. There's a lot of great stuff happening, so definitely check this out and consider these proposals for your votes.
And then there's also this list in the form of a spreadsheet. So you can go through it, you can make comments on it, you can work on, you know, I want to talk, you can write your own notes on this stuff. So I'll find that link and put it in the chat as well.
Yeah. I was thinking for Fund 8, we should maybe consider having a Cardano for Climate Idea Fest. So we have a space where these kind of proposals specifically are highlighted and talked to, and the community can ask questions, and proposers can provide a little forum for people to have a little bit of interactive space with the project teams.
Well, hopefully next fund we have a challenge of our own, and I think in the Swarm they have been talking about kind of having rooms based on challenges. So that would basically do that.
That would be very cool. I'm just flipping through slides so that if people are watching, they can pause and get the information that interests them. Yeah, I guess the official part of the meeting is over. We didn't get a time for a community discussion on governance and things, but I think we got through some of the important stuff around voting and the proposals that we have the opportunity to give a little voice to. So I'm super happy we were able to bring these forward and share them with the community so that they can be under consideration for your research and what you want to vote for. So yeah, definitely do your research, dive deep into these things. And as Melanie said, vote from your heart. Look at the ones that resonate, the ones that really motivate and make you want to be successful. So yeah, but most important is get out and vote. If you're registered, definitely vote, because I heard only 10% of all registered ADA actually votes, and I think that's extremely sad. So let's get out there and vote for those things that we believe in.
And also thank you all for coming and taking time out of your day to be here. There's nothing more valuable to me than our life and our time and where we spend it. So really want to thank you all for being here. If there's nothing else,
Yeah.
we can open up to conversation. We can stop the recording and chit chat if you want to. Probably closing up in about 5 minutes though.
Yeah.